Hello, my dear students. Today we shall be talking about important sounds that keep us alive. Yes, I am talking about heart sounds and murmur. The first clinical manifestation of a heart disease may be the discovery of an abnormal or an added sound on mere auscultation. This may be incidental, as during a routine childhood examination, or may be prompted by symptoms of some cardiac disease. Clinical examination is helpful, but please note an echocardiogram is often necessary to confirm the nature of an abnormal heart sound. Once we are talking about heart sounds, we need to understand whether this sound is really cardiac. Added heart sounds and murmur demonstrate a consistent relationship to a specific part of the cardiac cycle, but extra cardiac sounds like a pleural rub or venous hum does not. Pericardial friction rub produces a characteristic scratching or crunching noise which often has two components corresponding to the atrial and ventricular system and may vary with posture and respiration. Pathological sounds and murmurs are produced due to turbulent blood flow or rapid ventricular filling due to abnormal loading conditions. These abnormal loading conditions can be because of volume overload or it can be because of pressure overload. Some added sounds are physiological but may also occur in pathological conditions. For example, a third heart sound may be commonly seen in a young person and in pregnancy, but is also a feature of heart failure, suggesting reduced left ventricular compliance. Now we need to understand, is this sound pathological or not? A systolic murmur is due to a turbulence across the right ventricular outflow tract, may occur in hyperdynamic circulatory state as anemia, pregnancy, thyrotoxicosis, beriberi and n number of other conditions. It can also be due to pulmonary stenosis or an intracardiac shunt leading to volume overload of the right ventricle as in atrial septal defect or ventricular septal defect, where there could be a shunt which can shunt the blood from the left side of the heart to the right side of the heart. Benign murmurs do not occur in diastole. Now this is an important point which I would like you guys to keep in your mind, that diastolic murmurs are often pathological murmurs. So benign murmurs do not occur in diastole, and systolic murmur that radiate or are associated with a thrill are almost pathological. If you remember, in my previous presentation I have mentioned that grade 4 murmurs are associated with thrill, and thrill is nothing but it is a sensation which we feel like purring of a cat. And so grade 4 murmurs or more, they are associated with thrills, and if a murmur is associated with the thrill, then mostly it happens to be a pathological murmur. Continuous murmurs. These murmurs are also known as machinery murmurs. These murmurs, they result from a combination of systolic and diastolic flow. Example, persistent ductus arteriosus. Please remember this important condition where you get a continuous murmur, a very commonly asked question in multiple choice questions. So continuous murmur, it results from a combination of systolic and diastolic flow as persistent ductus arteriosus and must be distinguished from extracardiac noises as bruit from an arterial shunt, venous hum, that is high rate of venous flow in children, and pericardial friction rub. So please remember continuous murmur or machinery murmurs seen in persistent ductus arteriosus. Now we'll be talking about an important sound, that is the first heart sound, the lub part of lub-dub, 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 lub-dub. First heart sound, it occurs at the onset of ventricular systole, and it happens because of the closure of the mitral and the tricuspid valve, as you all already know. There is a M1 component followed by a T1 component. So I hope you understand, yes, the mitral and the tricuspid. It is a high pitched sound, but please do remember this pitch is definitely lower than the second heart sound, right? So it's high pitched but comparatively lower than the second heart sound and heard as lub. It is usually single or narrowly split, separated by only 20 to 30 milliseconds. Means there is a very narrow split between M1 and T1. So ideally we hear it as a single sound. If it is separated by a considerable distance, or if the split is audible, in most of the condition it is pathologic. Reverse splitting of first heart sound will be seen in which conditions? There are n number of MCQs which has been asked on this particular question. Reverse splitting can be seen in left bundle branch block. You can understand, if we are talking about left bundle branch block, means in left bundle branch block, M1 component would come later. So this M1 component will go towards T1, or at times if LBB is very severe, it can almost overshoot the T1 component also. So reverse splitting is seen in left bundle branch block, or in cases of severe mitral stenosis where M1 is delayed because of severe stenosis. So here also M1 can overshoot T1. So the second important condition is severe mitral stenosis and atrial myxoma. So whenever they ask you an MCQ, if there is a point of reverse splitting, please do remember three important conditions: left bundle branch block, severe mitral stenosis, and atrial myxoma. In which conditions the first heart sound is loud? It is loud in hyperdynamic circulatory states as anemia, pregnancy, thyrotoxicosis, high fever, beriberi. It is also loud, as you would remember, in mitral stenosis. Yes, in mitral stenosis, first heart sound is loud. In short PR interval, again the first heart sound is loud, and similarly it is loud in tachycardia. In which conditions the first heart sound is soft? A number of multiple choice questions has been asked on this current statement. First heart sound is loud in so and so except, or first heart sound is soft in so and so except. So please try to understand and remember these important conditions. Soft first heart sound will be seen in mitral regurgitation. As you remember when we were talking about mitral stenosis and mitral regurgitation, in mitral regurgitation the valves, they hardly close. So definitely the first heart sound is very soft. It is also soft in heart failure, in long PR interval, and in severe calcification of valve, which is seen in long standing case of mitral stenosis. In severe calcification of the valve, the immobility is lost, right? That's why we get soft first heart sound. So my dear students, we were talking about soft first heart sound. Soft first heart sound can also be seen in conditions with obesity and pleural effusion. This is because of poor conductance of sound from the thoracic wall. You can understand if there is air, like in conditions of emphysema, or if there is fluid as in condition of pleural effusion, then definitely the conductance of heart sounds which can be perceived by a stethoscope would be less. So we can get soft first heart sound. This sound is better heard with diaphragm of a stethoscope. The golden rule is the first, second and opening snap are better heard with diaphragm of the stethoscope, and low pitch sounds as third heart sound, fourth heart sound are better heard with bell of a stethoscope. So please remember this point. First heart sound, second heart sound and opening snap better heard with diaphragm, and low pitch sounds as third and fourth heart sounds are better heard with bell of a stethoscope. Now we'll be talking about second heart sound. It is heard at the end of systole. It's a high pitched sound which corresponds with dub. So lub, dub, lub, dub. It is caused because of the closure of the aortic and the pulmonary valve. So we have two components, A2 and P2. So we have these two components, A2 and P2. And definitely, as we all know, A2 comes first, followed by P2. There is a split during inspiration, and this sound is single on expiration. Now please try to understand, when we take deep breath, the blood flow to the right side of the heart increases. Right? So when this right side of the blood to the right side of the heart increases, there are two effects which is being produced because of this. P2 will come bit later, and secondly, because of the more volume overload on the right side of the heart, it can also push the left ventricular septum towards the left side. So A2 comes bit more prematurely, and therefore A2 comes bit early, P2 comes bit late, and there is splitting of second heart sound which is seen during inspiration. But this condition, that this volume shifting doesn't take place during expiration, so normally we get a single sound during expiration. So there is split during inspiration and single on expiration. Audible splitting during expiration is abnormal, because I have said there is a single heart sound during expiration. So if you can hear splitting during expiration, this is considered to be abnormal. As I have already said, this is better heard with diaphragm of a stethoscope. Importantly, please try to understand and remember this point. Fixed white splitting of second heart sound is very commonly seen with atrial septal defect. Now, this is a very commonly asked question in multiple choice questions. Fixed white splitting of second heart sound is seen with, and they'll give you options as ASD, VSD, LVF, and so on. Definitely, it is the atrial septal defect which is the most appropriate answer. Why it is split and why it is fixed? Fixed means what? Fixed means when split does not vary with breathing. As I have already said, during inspiration, right, there is splitting of the second heart sound, and this splitting goes during expiration. But if there is no splitting during inspiration and expiration, this is known as fixed splitting, and which is seen characteristically in ASD. Now, can you understand why there is fixed splitting in ASD? Because in ASD, right, there is septal defect. So whatever blood comes to the right side of the heart, it equally gets distributed in both the chambers. So there is minimal change in the volume of the right heart during inspiration and expiration. That is why we get fixed splitting in atrial septal defect. So this is an important point which you should keep in your mind. You can get fixed splitting in VSD also, but atrial septal defect is the most correct and appropriate answer. Wide but variable splitting can be seen with delayed right heart emptying, as in right bundle branch block or in pulmonary stenosis. You can understand anything which delays P2 means right bundle branch block, yes, or pulmonary stenosis. Yes, in both these conditions P2 would be delayed, and if P2 is delayed, definitely there would be wide splitting of between A2 and P2. Reverse splitting. Reverse splitting can be because of delayed left heart emptying, X in left bundle branch block or in severe systemic hypertension. Now please understand, if there is reverse splitting means what? A2 comes later. Now you have to understand in which conditions A2 will come later. Means left ventricle is contracting late. This will happen in case of left bundle branch block, correct? And in cases of severe systemic hypertension, because of severe systemic hypertension, A2 will close later because it has to close against the pressure gradient which is present in the aorta. So that is why this thing would be delayed, and you will get reverse splitting in case of left bundle branch block and severe systemic hypertension. Single S2. Single S2 means what? One component of S2 is either absent or inaudible in conditions. And single S2 is seen in tetralogy of Fallot, severe pulmonary stenosis, and pulmonary atresia. So I repeat, single S2 is seen in tetralogy of Fallot, severe pulmonary stenosis, and pulmonary atresia. Finally, loud P2. Yes, loud P2 will be seen in cases of pulmonary hypertension. Now we will be talking a few words about third heart sound. Third heart sound, it is early in diastole and heard just after S2, means just after the closure of which valves? S2 means S1 is mitral and tricuspid, and second heart sound is aortic and pulmonary valves, right? So it is heard just after S2. It is a low pitch sound often heard as a gallop. It is better heard with the bell of a stethoscope. See why I have mentioned these points? Because while browsing through the MCQs, I have seen various MCQs has been asked where they have put this point that this heart sound is heard better with bell, or this heart sound is heard better with a diaphragm. That's why I have tried to incorporate these points so that once you are answering the MCQs, you can definitely, because these are the points which might confuse you, right? This diaphragm or the bell. So you should be very clear that which are the heart sounds which are heard better with the bell of a stethoscope, and which are the sounds which are heard better with diaphragm. Third heart sound is commonly seen in ventricular dysfunction. It is physiological in high output states as young people, athletes, pregnancy, thyrotoxicosis. It can be pathological, or it could be pathological when there is a features of left ventricular dysfunctions. So feature of ventricular dysfunctions, you can get third heart sound, like in cases of LVF, that is left ventricular failure, ischemic heart diseases, and mitral regurgitation. So please understand, it could be physiological or it could be pathological in various conditions. In constrictive pericarditis, we get a pericardial knock, which is a distinct form of third heart sound. It occurs around 0.1 to 0.12 seconds after A2. Its presence depends upon the restrictive effect of adherent pericardium, which halts diastolic filling abruptly. Pathological S3 may be associated with atrial septal defect and ventricular septal defect also. But please try to understand, here it is due to high blood flow across mitral valve due to large left to right shunt. So here it does not really implies congestive cardiac failure, and patient with this may maintain normal myocardial contractility. Just a small question to ask you, will you hear third heart sound in mitral stenosis? No, well, because there is no problem with left ventricular function as far as mitral stenosis is concerned. So if there is an option that third heart sound is seen in, and if there is an option mitral stenosis, yes, in mitral stenosis there is no point where you will be getting a third heart sound. Now we'll be talking about fourth heart sound. It occurs at the end of the diastole just before S1. It's a low frequency sound, low pitched sound. It is difficult to hear even with stethoscope. If at all, it can be heard better with the bell of a stethoscope, as I have already mentioned. It is of ventricular origin. Please try to understand, it is of ventricular origin, which occurs when there is a stiff ventricle and augmented atrial contraction. Now this augmented atrial contraction word is very important because fourth heart sound is produced because of the augmented contraction of the atria. It suggests effective atrial contraction. So S4 suggests effective atrial contraction, and yes, a very good MCQ can be formed out here. Fourth heart sound would be absent in, yes, atrial fibrillations. You can understand when effective atrial contraction is required to produce fourth heart sound, and in atrial fibrillation there is not effective contraction of the atrium. So fourth heart sound will not be seen in atrial fibrillations. It's a feature of decreased ventricular compliances due to left ventricular hypertrophy seen in conditions like hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, ischemic heart diseases as acute myocardial infarction, angina pectoris, systemic hypertension, left ventricular outflow obstructions, and idiopathic dilated cardiomyopathy. Why am mentioning these conditions like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Because this is the way MCQ has been formed. Right. Fourth heart sound is seen in A, B, C, D, E, and you have to select in which condition it is seen, or they can ask you like an except. Right. So the aim is to make you understand that this information, how it can be utilized for construction of an MCQ. So accordingly, you have to remember this point, and it will be easier for you to remember because it's been mentioned like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. Secondly, it can also be because of excessive rapid late filling phase secondary to hyperdynamic circulatory straits, as we see in anemia, thyrotoxicosis, or atrioventricular fistula. Now we'll be talking few words about added sounds. Systolic clicks. Systolic clicks, it is audible during early systole. It's brief, high intensity sound which is heard after S1. It occurs as a result of sudden opening of valves in condition where this opening is delayed, as in aortic stenosis, pulmonary stenosis, and floppy mitral valve. Prosthetic heart sounds can also arise from opening and closing of normally functioning mechanical valves. Clicks may be lost when stenotic valve becomes thickened or it gets severely calcified. Prosthetic clicks get lost when the valve gets obstructed by thrombus or bacterial vegetations. Opening snap. Yes, we have learned about opening snap when we were discussing mitral stenosis. It's a brief, high-pitched sound, audible early in diastole, best heard during expiration. Opening of stenosed leaflets of mitral or pulmonary valve can cause opening snap. This could also be a prosthetic heart sound. It moves closer to S2 as mitral stenosis becomes more severe. This is an important point you should remember from MCQ point of view. And opening snap, it indicates that mitral stenosis is organic and it is significant. The valve cusps are pliable, there is high atrioventricular pressure gradient, and severe mitral regurgitation, atrial fibrillations, subacute bacterial endocarditis, and calcification is absent. Because if you get opening snap, definitely it deletes MR, it deletes AF, it deletes SABE, and it deletes calcification. So such information can be put to you in a way in an MCQ. So accordingly you have to remember this. Now what are the features of a benign or innocent heart murmur? It's soft, it is mid-systolic, heard at the left sternal edge, there is no radiation and there is no other cardiac abnormality associated with this. So these are the features of benign or innocent cardiac murmurs. Please remember, most of the conditions, they are soft and systolic, because as I have already said, diastolic murmurs are often correct pathological murmurs. Then features of certain common systolic murmurs. You would remember in aortic stenosis we get early to mid systolic murmur, which is loud, which is located at the base and left sternal edge, radiating to suprasternal notch and carotids. The associated features are there is single second heart sound, there is ejection click, there is slow rising pulse, and there is left ventricular hypertrophy. Finally, in mitral regurgitation, we get pansystolic murmur. It is blowing, it is radiating to axilla, and if there is mitral regurgitation, the first heart sound is correct. It's soft, there is third heart sound, and there is left ventricular hypertrophy. Finally, in ventricular septal defect, we get a pansystolic murmur which is of harsh quality. It's seen at the lower left sternal edge, radiating to the whole of the pericardium. It is associated with a thrill and biventricular hypertrophy, means in ventricular septal defect you get biventricular hypertrophy of the left and the right ventricle. Thank you.